欢迎收看今天的汉天新闻，我是施方圆。首先来看美国国内消息。当地时间8月2日，美国正式退出中导条约。这一条约由美国和俄罗斯两国在1987年签署，禁止双方试验生产和部署射程500至5500公里的陆基巡航导弹和弹道导弹。美国目前指责俄罗斯，称是俄罗斯首先违反条约，导致他们选择了退出。
The United States taking a stand against Russia. A senior U.S. defense official tells CNN the U.S. is preparing to test a non-nuclear mobile-launched cruise missile. It was developed specifically to challenge Russia in Europe. The move comes as the U.S. exits the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty with Moscow. The Arms Control Pact then Presidents Reagan and Gorbachev signed placed a limit on building missiles with a range of 500 to 5,500 kilometers.
We can no longer be restricted by the treaty while Russia shamelessly violates it.
It's one of the few topics where the Trump and Obama administrations see eye to eye.
Russia has cheated or is cheating on treaties. I give the Obama administration high marks for calling them out and trying to work this.
The U.S. has repeatedly claimed Russia violated the deal, and the defense official says that country has deployed multiple battalions on launch vehicles U.S. intelligence could have trouble tracking.
The threat is not American withdrawal from the INF Treaty. The threat is the Russian missiles already deployed.
If tensions rise enough to start a war, U.S. officials say Russian targets would include European ports and cities. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
美国国防部日前确认，他们将试射一种新型的无核导弹。国防部官员称，这次试射的目的是在退出中导条约之后，对抗俄罗斯方面日益紧张的威胁。目前，许多分析专家担心，全球新一轮军备竞赛可能即将开始。
This is the Russian missile the U.S. says led to the demise of a critical Cold War U.S.-Soviet arms control treaty. And new this hour, CNN has learned that the U.S. military is set to test a new non-nuclear mobile-launched cruise missile developed specifically to challenge Russia in Europe, according to a senior U.S. defense official. Details of this new weapon are scant, as it is just entering the test phase. This comes as the U.S. is expected to formally withdraw tomorrow from the 1987 Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty signed by President Ronald Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev.
We can no longer be restricted by the treaty while Russia shamelessly violates it.
It's one of the few areas where the Trump and Obama administrations agree.
Russia has cheated or is cheating on treaties. I give the Obama administration high marks for calling them out and trying to work this.
The U.S. has long claimed Russia was in violation when it built and deployed this new ground-launched missile. Defense officials say Russia has deployed multiple battalions on rapidly moving mobile launch vehicles that U.S. intelligence may find difficult to detect.
The threat is not American withdrawal from the INF Treaty. The threat is the Russian missiles already deployed.
If war breaks out, the Russians could target European ports, cities, and critical military and civilian infrastructure, according to U.S. officials. This new U.S. missile aimed to deter those Russian threats, but could also be used against China in a crisis.
We obviously need to prepare air and missile defenses to defeat those intermediate-range missiles. But then the other part is to make sure that we develop our own conventional INF-range missiles to deal not just with Russia, but China.
日前，密苏里州的一位律师提起了诉讼。在2016到2017年，当地有5人接连进行了自杀。而经过这位律师的调查和核实，他们的自杀都发生在跟同一个人的交谈之后。他认为这个人是刻意在对他人进行自杀的鼓励和怂恿，这在当地是与谋杀同等罪名的犯罪。
He participated, aided, and abetted these people in committing suicide. Clayton attorney Nicole Gorofsky says in Missouri that's a crime. It's manslaughter. Gorofsky Wednesday filed this lawsuit on behalf of the parents of Alexander Mullins and Joshua Thomas. It claims student Brandon Grossheim told police he counseled and gave advice and step-by-step directions to people on how to deal with depression and do their own free will.
Which has, of course, very strong implications that he was counseling them on how to commit suicide.
I talked with Alex's mother on FaceTime.
Well, I would want him to face his day in court and be held accountable for the deaths.
The attorney says the university and fraternity knew about Grossheim's close relationships to the students and did nothing to stop him.
There was clear foreseeability to the university that there was somebody dangerous on their campus and they didn't do anything about it.
That he was involved in this, kind of bending their ear, kind of, if you will, just kind of planting thoughts in their head.
3 of the dead were fraternity members. The other 2 people were apparently friends of Grossheim. The lawsuit says Grossheim was one of the last people to see each victim before their deaths and was reportedly seen wearing one of the victims' clothing. All the suicides were in the same manner.
That he needs to pay for what he's done.
The university released a statement that says, "We strongly disagree with the allegations and will defend the suit vigorously. It will become clear the university is not responsible for the deaths of these students." A spokesman for the fraternity says they've yet to receive the lawsuit and had no comment.
新泽西州的10几人目前都可能面临最高的终身监禁的刑罚。他们中包括几名政府机关的临时工作人员，这些人与当地黑帮成员相勾结，利用政府办公室进行毒品交易等活动时被发现。当地政府官员表示，这是绝对不能被容忍，必须重罚。
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. You take these jobs, you have a responsibility to care for the children and the community.
A dozen people could face up to life in prison as part of a conspiracy taken down by the DEA that allegedly sold crack, heroin, and fentanyl for the G-Shine set of the Blood Street Gang in Newark. 3 of the people charged were City of Newark employees working at the Rotunda Recreation Center on Clifton Avenue. Federal authorities say the 3 men received shipments of drugs at the center and used it as a place to stash drugs and money.
It sickens you that you see people that were given a job on a seasonal basis that maybe made a mistake in the past and were given a pass to come to a job and engaged in criminal activity.
That somebody would use the cover of their job to do this is a whole nother, level of disgust.
Mayor Ras Baraka was blindsided by the city employee's arrest when he first saw the criminal complaint Wednesday morning. He said his level of anger on a scale of 1 to 10 was...
Where was I? 11?
Part of Baraka's anger, the city's website erroneously listed alleged drug supplier Arthur Hardy as the rec center's director.
He was never a director of anything. He was a part-time employee, a recreational aide. It's on his application, right? I have it. As a matter of fact, I double-checked to make sure.
Baraka said the city will start doing background checks on part-time and seasonal employees. There's no indication children at the rec center were aware of the drug activity, but...
We do believe that there's violence related to some of this gang activity. It's not something I could discuss at this time.
Authorities say their investigation is ongoing.
肯塔基州莱克星顿附近，周4下午发生了严重的瓦斯爆炸事件。当地民众形容，突然冒出的一片火海让他们以为是飞机坠毁了。在消防人员英勇的救助下，迄今为止还没有发生死亡事件。但大量民众的房屋和资产受到损失，家园已经不复存在。
It's so bright.
A tower of fire shoots skyward from the site of a gas explosion in Kentucky. It happened around 1 a.m. Thursday. A nearby resident thought a plane had crashed.
Our house started shaking. You heard a loud roar. You could feel the heat and see the light from the fire.
One woman fleeing her home says the heat burned her skin and hair.
When we were running, the backs of my
just the heat from the flames.
The heat from the flames and singed my hair.
Authorities blame a ruptured gas transmission pipeline. Lincoln County is about an hour south of Lexington, where some reported seeing the fire spout. Cars, asphalt, and railroad tracks melted. The searing heat also claimed the life of a 58-year-old woman. But after looking at the scene, Police are grateful so many survived.
The houses that are there are completely destroyed. And as you can imagine, at 1 o'clock in the morning, most people are inside asleep. And so this could have been much, much worse. The area is void of trees, grass. One of the people that were there in the scene earlier described it as looking more like Mars.
Some residents may be able to return to their homes, or whatever is left of them, Thursday afternoon. I'm Stacey Cohan reporting.
目前，夏威夷州政府正在为2股即将到来的热带风暴进行准备。气象专家认为，这2股风暴将对当地的环境和民众生活造成严重影响。政府现在要求民众提前做好防灾工作，尽量把恶劣天气可能造成的损失降到最低。
On Hawaii Island, the county's Civil Defense Agency has partially activated its Emergency Operations Center. If your home or business is prone to flooding, officials are encouraging folks to take precautions now. Sand is available at these 15 locations across the Big Island. Residents must bring their own bags. Meantime, some closures are already in effect.
We have closed Whittington Beach Park, Punalu'u Beach Park, and Isaac Holly Beach Park. These are all in Ka'u or Puna. Also, we've closed the South Point Road because we anticipate that it will be probably getting most of the heavy rain and the high surf.
On Maui, there are no closures just yet. However, Mayor Mike Victorino says crews have spent the past week cleaning out storm drains, reservoirs, and spillways in an effort to minimize any flooding.
We also have had our emergency services on alert, and they've prepared their assets, moved generators into areas where emergency shelters could be opened up if necessary.
And on Oahu.
We're always making sure streams are clear. They'll send equipment and personnel down there to do that.
Officials say they're preparing for the chance of heavy rain and wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour.
For yourself, look around your yard, bring in loose things that go flying, tie things down clearly and be prepared for that.
Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
休息一下，马上回来。